Hello, my name is Joseph Thompson, and for my project, I wrote about Samuel Taylor Coleridge. So let's get into this. Coleridge was born in 1772 and died in 1834. He was an English poet, a philosopher, and a theologian. He is the founder of the Romantic era along with William Wordsworth, which we'll get into their relationship later. His father was a pastor and died when he was 8. Subsequently, he was moved to Christ Hospital School. For college, he went to Jesus College in Cambridge, and there's a picture of the campus. It's very beautiful. During college, he met Robert Southey, and they came up with this plan for a utopian society that they were called the Pantocracy. This would have featured a government in which all people ruled, but equally, no one had power over each other. They believed contemporary society and politics were bogging people down and corrupting them. They would have advocated for no personal possessions, all of them working for a common good. Ultimately, the plan fell apart when they couldn't decide where to place their commune. They wanted to do it somewhere in Pennsylvania, but they just couldn't figure out where. And it's good that they didn't because we might not have gotten Coleridge's works. Speaking of, him and Wordsworth met in 1795, and 3 years later, they published Lyrical Ballads. This is where the Romantic period started. And I think it's really a testament to how influential and how good of writers these men were that one compilation of poems they put out started one of the biggest eras in literature history. Eventually, there was conflict in their relationship over artistic vision, and Coleridge's opium addiction also did not help. Kubla Khan is one of the most well-known works that Coleridge ever did. It was allegedly written after an opium-induced dream, though if that's actually true, we don't know. And this is a story that has a lot of romantic elements. There's a heavy emphasis on nature and also creativity, humanity's ability to make stuff, imagine stuff for both good and bad. I think the river emphasizes almost like the flow of creativity, but also when it erupts, the destruction that we can cause as humanity. Um, it also highlights a lesser known aspect of the Romantic period. I didn't know about this until I researched it, but there was a interest in foreign cultures in a lot of Romantic works, especially the Orient, which obviously we call Asia now. But it's interesting when you look at this because he came up with the idea after reading a travelogue from Samuel Purchase about Kublai Khan, the actual Khan himself, and the Xanadu that he wanted to have built. Of course, Coleridge's most influential and most well-known work is Rime of the Ancient Mariner. The story about the mariner who shoots the albatross, has to wear it around his neck. We all know it. We had to read it. This is, of course, another thoroughly romantic poem, and it highlights to me what is a bit unique about Coleridge, and it's these religious themes that he works into his stories. You have a bit of it in Kubla Khan when he mentions the honey and milk, but in here you have these themes of sin and penance. The albatross himself is like a the albatross itself is almost like a Christ-like figure. It comes, it saves them when the mariner's asking for help. They're in a spot of trouble. And then, for no reason whatsoever, the mariner shoots the albatross, this sinless creature. It didn't harm them, it only helped them. And obviously, that is very similar to Jesus and the stories in the Bible about Jesus. Um, of course, it's another heavily romantic poem that features a lot of natural aspects to it. But what to me makes it unique is that religious aspect to it, which I think you see in almost all of Coleridge's works, as you'll see a little bit after this. The impact of Coleridge's work is absolutely massive. He was actually an early supporter of the French Revolution, but eventually became disillusioned with them after they started to invade Switzerland and the rise of Napoleonism, stuff like that. Was not a big fan. Under his and Wordsworth's works, say that 5 times fast, Romanticism not only flourished, it came into existence. It would not exist without them. And that is probably one of the biggest impacts you can have on a society. I mean, history, culture, society, literature all changed because of these two men and their work. We also got terms like suspension of disbelief from Coleridge. And the term bipolar, though, side note, he did not discover bipolar disorder, he only came up with the term bipolar. He also wrote an interesting piece on the constitution of church and state, in which he suggested states come up with obviously a national government that rules over the practical and laws, but also a national church which governs over morality and the more spiritual side of the nation. which, while I personally think is a terrible idea, it just goes to show the religious influence on his life and how he put that in his works. And of course, there are many modern works that have been influenced by Coleridge. Though it's not super modern, I think Moby Dick obviously has some influence from Rime with the Ancient Mariner. And I'm sure you're wondering, why is there a Weezer album featured? Well, in Weezer's album, The White Album, the second song is called Wind in Our Sail. And one of the lines in it talks about having the albatross around their neck. And a lot of fans think that's talking about how some of their past albums were really big misses with not only critics but fans themselves. And people were starting to dislike Weezer and associating them with poor quality, cheap, hoppy music. And this album, I think they realized that and they try to get back to their roots. So it almost is like they're acknowledging their sin and trying to repent for it, have some sort of penance. Not that their sin was as bad as shooting an albatross for no reason, but obviously the parallels are still kind of there. All in all, Coleridge is easily one of the most influential writers we have ever looked at. While he's not Shakespeare level, I'd say he's pretty close. Starting an entire literature era is no easy task, and he absolutely is deserving of the title of the father of Romanticism, along, of course, with Wordsworth, which I think they should both share the title. But he is a fantastic poet. He has written some of my favorite works. I mean, Kubla Khan's amazing. Rime of the Ancient Mariner is amazing. He's got a lot of really good works. And all in all, was definitely my favorite writer we looked at. That's all I have for you all today. I would love one day to do a deeper dive into Rime of the Ancient Mariner because it is my favorite poem of all time, but I cannot fit that into this video. That being said, I hope you all have a good day and good luck on exams.